Hi everyone, it's Dr. Andreia Horta here, Naturopathic Doctor, and here I'm just letting you know that this is self-directed learning. It's a podcast, so the disclaimer is that this does not replace any medical diagnosis, assessment, or treatment. It's just general information. So please, if you have any concerns at all, contact your medical doctor or your naturopathic doctor for anything that you need. Okay? Thank you.
It's so nice to see you again, Dr. Andreia Horta.
So nice to see you, Corinne. Thank you for having me back.
Thank you for joining us on the VIP Collective. For everyone who's listening and watching, Dr. Horta has been on a number of times to keep us healthy and keep us informed about foods. And we've spoken a lot about foods actually in the past. And so today I thought, why not switch it up and let's talk stress? Because if there's one thing that COVID is presenting with all of us, I think it's there's an element of stress. And as much as we're all trying to kind of navigate through and figure out how to keep ourselves calm and maybe start meditating or whatever you take on to kind of help deal with the stress, I thought maybe you would have a lot of answers about how to calm yourselves and how to de-stress or talk us through stress and anxiety. So I hope you're doing well since the last time we spoke.
Yes, I'm doing well. I've been keeping, interested in learning so many things, taking courses. So I'm using this time wisely, which is really important, right?
Oh, good. Yeah, it's one thing to start seeing this time as a blessing in a sense that you're able to take on things that you may not have done before this because we're always so busy. So in that sense, it's just kind of flipping the mindset that this can be a blessing if you look at it that way. So it's good to hear you're using your time wisely.
Yes, for sure. And teaching others to do the same,
For sure. Absolutely. So let's dive in and let's talk stress and anxiety. So
okay.
let's get us started. What are some tips when it comes to dealing with stress and anxiety during this time?
Well, I kind of wanted to just open up the idea of how stress can actually be good for you. Because when you look at, for example, if you look at stress and performance, and you actually see that if you have a little bit of stress over a short period of time, just a little bit of stress, it's actually good for you, right? A little bit of stress gets you motivated, gets you up in the morning, it gets you into action. And then what we've seen is over time, if that stress continues and continues and continues like months after months after months, like this COVID experience, for instance, and we're not allowing ourselves to reset and we're not allowing ourselves to have downtime, then what ends up happening is you end up starting to see that instead of it being like a helpful thing, the stress, it starts to wear and tear on the body. Mm-hmm. So sometimes people will start feeling more anxious, more irritable. And then if that continues for several months onto that, and as well as years into that, then you got yourself into a place of adrenal fatigue, or you just get really, really, really tired to the point where other things start dropping, right? So your productivity stops at work, you start making mistakes, and then on top of that, you can start seeing some issues with like insomnia, immune system infections. You tend to gain weight around the belly, right? That's the big one. Fatigue, early onset fatigue, things that wouldn't make you upset, wouldn't make you tired are now making you tired.
So you mentioned just before about resetting. So what are some of the ways to reset?
So this is the important thing, right? It's like finding a way to reset. One of the things that I've been talking a lot in the last couple of months, especially working with moms, because many different patients have kids, right? And so with moms, it's like they do everything for everyone else, right? The kids and the parents. And so they're in a constant state of go, 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 fight or flight. They're in a constant state of stress all the time. And one of the things that I would really love to see is for every single mom and anyone else experiencing stress is to block in self-care time. Block in. And what that means, it's a non-negotiable. It's the same, it should be treated, that self-care time needs to be treated the same way that you would treat coming to visit me as a doctor, right? Or booking an appointment with a dentist. It's the same thing. It's a non-negotiable. Because what's happening is that women, especially women and men as well, that everyone's going in this fight or flight response where they're pushing their adrenals, their cortisol, stress hormones being pumped out. There's no resetting. And then your body gives out on you, right? The immune system you'll start having more sensitivities, more allergies. I see more rashes, more skin breakouts. Why? Because the immune system is coming down. Okay, and that's 100% a reflection of that stress not being optimized, that it's going too far in that high stress state without a reset. So 100%, we need to make it a non-negotiable, and it needs to be daily. One of the easiest things that I have done, because like I literally start early morning and I go all night as well, just because I love working, right? And I also live like, I'm single, so it's totally different. I don't have kids, so why not work, especially if you love it, right?
Yeah.
So I have to force myself to put in a non-negotiable. And so one of the things I promised myself is so I have my day, I have my morning, I have my lunch, and then around 3-4 o'clock, I force myself to get out of the house, especially during this COVID time. So I go for a walk near the water, or at like the last couple of weeks, I've been going to a park and sitting under a tree and reading. And it's like, wow, and it's like when you start to apply these small little things, it seems like such simple, almost like, what's the point to this? But it's simple medicine because your nervous system needs it. It absolutely needs it. I set a timer for 10 minutes on my phone. Okay, set a timer. Airplane mode is off. No one can contact me during those 10 minutes. Okay, lying under this tree, reading my book, and I was like, wow, there's so much time. I just felt the 10 minutes was so long. Yeah. Because for a moment, I wasn't connected to energy. For a moment, I wasn't being drained electronically, because EMFs 100% affect our body. We are muscles and bones, but we're also electric. We also have an energy inside of us. So anytime we're around other energies, we're going to be depleted 100%. So that in and of itself, just a reset, totally putting your phone on airplane mode. If you sit, especially because I was sitting on the grass, so I was connecting to the earth, and there's that pull, that magnetic pull that really calms the nervous system down. So I
had to do that last week. I went to the park just so I could take off my shoes and put my feet in the grass, because I needed to connect with nature. And the other thing that I've been doing since COVID began, I've actually kept my phone on silent. So what I'm finding is when the phone is on silent and it's in another room, my productivity has gone up. I've done what I needed to do on social media, and then that's it. So I'm not thinking about my phone until I take a lunch break. And that has been super helpful for me, just to not be in a distraction mode or have distractions coming in. So that's kind of been something that I've been practicing. And the other thing is, similar to your timer, when I sit and read, I'm setting a timer to read. So 20 to 25 minutes reading, and you know that you have that time frame, and that's what your dedication is for, just for reading. And if I find personally, if I don't set that, then I'm thinking, it feels really long. Like what you said, when you're sitting in the ground and it's 10 minutes long. But when you know the timer is going to go off, you know that you're within that time frame. But when you read and you don't have an end goal of how long you're going to read for, you kind of at the end, this is me personally, but my mind might drift somewhere else, and then I've kind of lost a few pages of the book. So anyways, those are a couple of my hot tips since COVID began, in with phones and distractions and keeping yourself things like that.
Was your stress lower when you did that? Did you feel like your stress for the day was lower and you felt more productive, more focused?
100%. And I was working out in the morning, so that kind of evened everything out. I had a really productive, as soon as the workout happened, then I was super productive the rest of the day. It kind of just trickle effect all the way down. I was in fight or flight mode, and I thought about you the other day, where it was just kind of a stressful day I had happening. And I literally said, I was like, I'm in fight or flight mode right now. I could feel it. So I took a break and I went for a walk, because I needed to get out and just kind of reset. And it worked, because I came back and I was like, okay, I can either focus now, or I could continue with what I had to do.
Yeah. So, you got to imagine your body like a battery. It needs to be reset all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
But I think of you
just go.
All of the tips that you're giving, I'm always thinking the 10-minute walk, where you just set your timer and you just walk. You don't necessarily need to have a a destination, but you're just getting out and walking, and like those kind of things have been super helpful. So I always want to say thank you, because I think of you often when I do trying to implement some of these stress reducers.
Yeah, it's a really basic thing, but when you do it regularly, if you start doing this consistently, your body's going to actually get a feeling, oh, she's okay. Oh, she's calm. She's actually okay, right?
Right.
Otherwise, it thinks you're being chased by a bear the whole time. And so this is the important thing. So your adrenals, like if I actually showed you a picture of your adrenals, so this is like kind of like your adrenals look like a bell, kind of like that.
Cool.
And there's an inner part and there's a cortex. Cortex is the outer part, medulla is the inner part. And so the inner part is actually controlling a lot of your cortisol, right? I had written down, the inner part controls your cortisol, and the outer cortex part controls sugars, it controls your blood pressure. So this adrenal, like it sends out hormones to control body processes. That's what it does. So like, for example, the inner part controls blood sugar, heart rate, blood flow, and let's say the outer part controls minerals and reproductive formation. So if you are being chased by a bear all the time, then you're going to be producing more sugar, because the body's like, oh my God, she's literally being chased by a bear. We got to make more sugar. We got to make more sugar. And your liver will actually make new sugar for you, 100%. That's why people are like, I eat salads all day, but I can't lose weight. It's because you're under stress, 100%, and your body doesn't care that you're eating salads because it thinks you're under stress, so it wants to help you. It also breaks down protein. Every time you have high cortisol production, it breaks down protein, breaks down muscle, and this is not good for weight loss either.
So the more stressed you are, the more sugar that your body is producing, which is why
100%.
Stress lives in the gut and the belly when you gain weight.
Or fat in the liver. There's something called fatty liver. It's all due to stress and intake of too much sugars, 100%. Fatty liver, I see more and more. I see more and more of that. Anyone with abdominal obesity, guaranteed, should check their liver.
Wow.
Right? Because that's all cortisol. It's all stress related.
I always like that you say chased by a bear.
Yeah. I knew a person that was chased by a bear. That's why I'm telling you that. He lived in Alberta, and he had to keep on running up and down the hill because he was waiting for a bus, and he had to keep on running up and down the hill because the bear would go fast on the way down, and then he couldn't make it on the way up, so he'd like gain leverage. Yeah, that's how he got away from the bear. And then finally the truck came, and he was able to hop onto the truck, but he was like running for his life.
He ran up and down the same hill over and over?
Yeah, up and down.
To slow the bear down.
To slow down the bear. Yeah. Because the bear has a really big bottom, and I think it's really hard for him to get up, or vice versa. I don't know which one it is, but he said he was running for his life. So that's why I say when you're running from a bear, you're like
stress level.
This also ties into why zebras don't have stress. You know what's that book?
I didn't know that.
Zebras Don't Have Ulcers. Yeah, there's a book called Zebras Don't Have Ulcers. It was written by like a PhD in stress or something. I forgot his name. But anyways, the reason why they don't have stress is because when zebras are out, they're like eating grass all the time, and they're like relaxing, grazing. But then a lion will come. Come chase after the zebra, right? What does the zebra do? Runs as fast as she can. She's in fight or flight, right? And then maybe one of them will die, knock on wood, if it gets eaten, or the other ones will escape, right? The lion starts eating the other animal that he caught, and she gets to relax. So she just relaxes. So she goes back to relaxing. She starts eating the grass and relaxing. So then she's resetting. Whereas us as humans, we're not resetting. We're waking up in the morning and we're running away from that bear or that lion, and we never ever reset because we literally think, oh my God, I have so much to do. I have so much to do. I have so much to do. You're never ever resetting your brain.
Do you think that's been one of the, like, I feel personally that has been one of my lessons since COVID has begun, with resetting and understanding balance a little bit more and those kind of things? Like, are you hearing from people you work with or anything that maybe they're starting to, because we've kind of been we've been forced into a pause where you're not able to go every day like you were. So, but it's still stressful because there's financial issues and, there's a lot happening and it's stressful regardless. But do you feel like maybe that's been a shift with like understanding what a reset means because of COVID?
I don't know. I think it's across the board because there's been a lot of other stressors that have come up for people, especially people with families living at home.
Right.
So it's a whole next
It's the new
level of
stress.
stress. So it's, yeah, I wouldn't say it's downtime. If anything, it's been the opposite.
Right.
Like,
I guess it's dependent
get
on
me
people's
away from my
situation.
kids.
Right.
It's like, give me
Right.
a moment because now they've had to homeschool, right? On top of working full time. So, and producing. So there's just a lot of pressure. It's just all kinds of different challenges. But the need for a reset still needs to be there. And so for anyone that's a mom, this is why I hope I know your audience is kind of somewhat female,
Yep.
but with respect to any moms, they have to literally sit down, tell their partner, this is really important for my mental health as well as my physical health, because my body will break down on me if I do not help it. Right? And so
Yeah.
sit down, have your calendar out and write in, this is my downtime. This is when I need you to take the kids. This is when,
Yeah, a good friend of mine, her and her husband have organized that they each get an hour a day, and they have 2 children. So she takes her hour and goes for her walk or does whatever she wants, and then he takes his hour, and they know that, and they have a trade-off, and it seems to work really, really well for them.
Yeah, this is amazing. I love hearing this. So that's definitely tip number 1. That came up to me and I was like, I got to make sure I say it. The next one that I want to mention is, this is kind of like a little bit weird, but it's journaling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you journal or not, but the biggest thing for me, what I see is a lot of people have stress or they have these feelings that they're coming up, like they're angry, they're irritable, they're upset, they're sad, and they're not. It's almost like you're not even allowed to feel those feelings. I'm so busy, I can't feel those feelings. Just suppress it, right? Well, if you suppress emotions, where are they going to go? They're still inside your body. They're still causing havoc. So really, anytime you're feeling something, I would ask you, if you're feeling stressed out or irritable, take your little book and start to write about it. Like, no one's going to see it. It's just you. Mm-hmm. So just start writing whatever it is that you're feeling. So if you're feeling irritated because you just got a bunch of other projects done and you don't have time and you're managing your kids, write it out. Just say, it really sucks right now. I'm feeling like this, just kind of like allow yourself to feel the feelings and acknowledge them.
Right.
Right? Because that's a way of processing the emotion so that you can actually come back up and you'll be okay.
Right.
Right? But if you just suppress it and be like, no, there's nothing wrong, there's nothing wrong. Like, I sat with a patient even earlier this week, and it was like, the first thing I asked was, are you stressed out? And her response was, no, not at all. And I said, okay, so you're not stressed out at all? And she was like, well, work stress. And then then I'm like, okay, so what other ways, are you feeling symptoms? The next thing you know, she was like, yeah, well, I'm not stressed, but every day at around 3:00, there's like this heaviness in my chest and I can't take a breath. And that's anxiety. When you can't take a deep breath, right? Mm-hmm. You can't take a deep breath. You're anxious, you're short of breath, your muscles are so tense, so tight. I have patients right now that are inflamed because of all the tension and irritation that they have in their body, right? People are holding in emotions. People need to release emotions. That is the one thing that I've been telling people in the last couple of months. We need to start letting go of these emotions and processing these emotions. Otherwise, anger, frustration, upset, resentment go in and they start manifesting in the body, right? Pain, inflammation, like people looking poofy, rashes. Right. What is that? Right? Emotions have an effect on the body too. It's not just in your mind.
And like journaling is a good way to put that onto paper and put it out there and release it, right? If you can't. Yeah. What about talking to yourself?
Yeah, you can 100% talk.
But if you live alone and you decide to have a full-blown dialogue about kind of assessing your situation, do you think that's healthy?
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing. Just get it out. You need to process the emotion. You can't get stuck or push it down. I was listening to, there was some podcast where there was this psychologist saying it's all in the head. And I'm like, no, he's totally wrong. The body and mind are 100% connected. Right. Everything is connected. In Chinese medicine, whenever people had liver problems, the first thing we would ask is, okay, do you have anger? Do you have frustration? Because anger and frustration and irritability is linked to the liver. If people had a lot of fear, we'd say, is there something going on with your kidneys? And there was always these overlaps. Emotions are tied to the organs, So when you feel something, it releases hormones. Hormones affect the body. So it's all integrated and, in a beautiful system. So there's that. Okay, number 3 is making sure that your sleep is sound. Are you getting good sleep?
So I'm super fortunate. I have really good sleep. I kind of want to pat myself on the back, but at the same time, I'm also putting myself to bed at a certain time. You are going to be upset with me because I do not disconnect 1 hour before, although I would like to. I still find that I am falling asleep though, even if I happen to be looking at my phone in my bed, which is good. It's not keeping me up, like it's not stimulating me to stay up, which is nice. But for the most part, I am having good sleep straight through the evening. And I'm sorry for anyone who doesn't have that.
You don't have to apologize for your goodness. You continue shining. There's not a competition. Everyone can have a good sleep, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to feel bad if someone else doesn't. But I can tell you sleep is really important. So we've talked about sleep before, but like making sure people know, like one of the things that I was just recently learning about is like fasting, making sure you're like 2 to 3 hours before bed to not have any food, not having any drinks, and making sure that, I know you were saying your bedtime's around 9:30, 10, making sure you stick to that, right?
What's really nice about actually an early bedtime as well is that once you eat, depending on when you eat dinner, and then once you kind of go through your night routine, it's almost bedtime at that point. And so you're not invested in starting a whole new meal because you're about to go to bed. Yeah. Whereas the later you stay up, if it's midnight or 1 o'clock, you might start want to eat around 10 or 11 because you're still awake. So that's the interesting part about going to bed early is that you're shutting yourself down. Therefore, you cannot consume food.
Yep. And you're actually doing it according to the circadian rhythm. The circadian rhythm is the Earth's pull, right? Mm-hmm. And going to bed at 9:30 is perfect because that's when the sun goes down. And there's a lot of good research showing that if you eat during the times that you're awake, like in the daylight, it actually helps to reset and balance the hormones.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
You'll balance everything out because you're actually doing it according to what the Earth is asking you.
Yeah.
Right? It's in balance. And versus like staying up all night and doing a night shift, that would be extra stress on the body, right? Physical stress on the body.
Well, I was mentioning to you also before we started this podcast was that I'm a part of a 5 a.m. group right now. So putting myself to bed at 9:30, 10 o'clock, and then waking up at 5 a.m. to start the day. And I've never been more aware about the sunrise than I am at this. Like I check with Alexa every single day what time the sunrise is. And we've already reached the earliest point. And now, because obviously as we get into July and August, the days start to get shorter. But it's just such an interesting thing. And helpful in so many ways. But
do you feel like you wake up more refreshed? Or how do you feel when you're waking up in the morning?
Some days I feel ready to go, and some days I'm really tired. And so without pushing it, I will sleep. But a lot of times if I do feel a little bit tired when I wake up, I go over what I had to eat the night before. Because if I had anything that had sugar in it, then I wake up in the morning and I feel sluggish. I'm like, oh, it's because I ate that. Or if I'm
100%.
If I'm thinking about eating something in the evening, I know how it's going to affect me the next day. So I really only feel refreshed when I've eaten properly. If I eat anything has sugar, I feel it in the morning. I'm sluggish.
The basics of sleep is making sure you're going to bed at the same time as often as possible so the body gets regular sleep, and making sure you're not eating at all so that the body is actually going into repair mode at night. So you're actually sleeping throughout the whole entire night so that your hormones can actually feel relaxed, right? So that's important. So the last tip that I have is something called alternate nostril breath.
Ooh. Oh dear.
A and B.
I feel a challenge coming up for me.
It's an ancient breathing technique. It's I can't remember the actual term of it, but anyways, then the English version is alternate nostril breath. And there's some research showing that it's actually very helpful for anxiety attacks or panic attacks. So there's actually research to back it up that it can drop you into your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the opposite of your fight or flight.
Got it.
Right? So this type of breath, it gets you to focus so much on what you're doing. You become so present on the breathing, and you're able to take a deep, deep breath that it automatically, boom, drops you in. So I want to show you that. And I want you to and we're going to try at least a minute of it. Okay.
Let's try this.
And I'll guide you through it as well. So first I'll show you the hand position. So the hand position is you can take 3 fingers in and kind of do like this.
Okay, for anyone who is listening, this is the almost like the rock and roll, the thumb and the pinky finger.
Exactly.
Right.
Or you could, with your hands, just bring 2.
Or 2, and this is kind of like,
like this.
Rock out.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
I did that wrong. Sorry, it's like this. It's like this. It's kind of weird.
I can't push my finger back.
It's the index finger and the middle finger go in, and the ring finger and the pinky finger stay out.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so then it's this gentle one. You could pick one or the other. I like this one just because it's easier for my hand to get into the position. Right? But it's a little bit wider, right? It's a little bit wider. Okay. That's why for some people they like doing this one. So, okay, so this is how we're going to start. So the air is going to go in through one side of the nostril. You're going to pause at the top, and then the air is going to come out on the exhale from the other side of the nostril. And then because the air is on this side, you're going to inhale through the same side, pause at the top, and then exhale through the opposite side. Okay?
Okay.
So we're going to guide you through, and we're going to use the hands to hold it.
Everyone follow along if you're watching.
Cover one side. Cover one side.
Yep.
Inhale through the left. Hold at the top, cover. Open it up. Exhale. Inhale, same side. Cover it up and hold. Exhale, opposite side. So it's a little bit weird, right? How does that feel?
I like the science behind it. I like the idea that you're thinking about breathing in, and it kind of making its way through your nostril and at the other side. I like
that. Exactly. So what we want to do is we want to actually count it. So we want to count 3 counts up, hold, 3 counts down, hold.
I found my breaths were getting so long towards the end, like I was exhaling for very long. It was really calming.
It's super calming. I know it looks weird, but if you want to try, you can do this anywhere. If you're feeling anxious, go into a washroom, sit down, and do the breath, even for 1 to 2 minutes.
Awesome.
So those are the top 3 that I wanted to share with you.
Love them all. Thank you for bringing your insight. It's always a pleasure to sit with you. I hope to see you again soon. Before we sign off, where can people find you? Because you are a wealth of knowledge. And where can they find you? And how can they chat with you if they want to learn more information about how to de-stress and be healthy? Well, the easiest is finding me on Instagram. It's at Love Dr. Dre. So LOVEDRDREI. So at Love Dr. Dre. And then my website currently, it's going to change, but my current website is www.andreia, ANDREIA, Christina, CHRISTINA.com, AndreiaChristina.com, and check my webinars tab because weekly, every Thursday, I run a regular webinar. And right now I'm working on an anxiety course. So all my webinars are on anxiety and anxiety tools, whether it's foods, whether it's like exercises, anything to help people with anxiety, because I know that during this time, it's been a big deal. So come check it out. Love it. Well, if you're listening or watching, this woman has all the knowledge. It's always such a pleasure to sit with you. Thank you for taking your time to inform our listeners and followers on how to de-stress a little bit in such stressful times. Yes. And by the way, you're doing a great job. I'm really proud of you. Thank you. Yeah, because the biggest thing is it's one thing to teach these things, but if people aren't integrating, they don't get better. Right. So and that's why, exactly. And that's why I think it's important that, we're checking in every once in a while, just because I know what I'm gaining from you. And I just want to make sure if we're reiterating that the audience can really start to hear it when they're faced with certain situations. You start to hear the information that you've learned through the podcast. Yes. And that's why I guess repetition, I know we learned this. It's constantly repeat the same thing over and over again until people get it. Yep. Right? It takes well, yeah, no, I was going to say that sometimes you'll hear something one way and it doesn't register, and then you hear it again a different way, and then it hits you. sometimes it just takes a little bit of time. You're hearing the same message, but you're not getting the message until you hear it the way you want to hear it. So I think it's important for us to kind of go over things and make sure that there's an understanding.
Yeah.
So you're the best. Thank you so much.
You're the best. Thank you so much. It's so nice to be here. I'm so happy I get to share. I hope that people learned. If anyone has any questions, please send them my way for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We will have the link to your website below in the YouTube channel, and we will also have your handle underneath your video so everyone can get in contact. And if you're not following her, go ahead and do it because she has got so many good things going on over there. Thanks, my dear. Well, cheers, and we'll see you again soon.
Sounds good.
Bye-bye.
Oh, cheers. Bye.